kids, what we shouldn't do for the kids. You know, am I taking too much space away from them? You know, it's just the mind. I don't know how you feel, but I think becoming a mother has been such a big part of my spiritual growth, has been mothering not only my children, but learning how to mother myself. Does that make sense? Cool. All right, so I think we'll just kind of do a little short circle today, and I wanted to talk a little bit about surrender and also see where you are at with module 1. So it's kind of like we could look at this as like we're starting again, and module 1 really being about the 8 keys process, which is about clarity and direction. So just looking to see, you know, where you're at with that tool, and yeah, and if you've ever completed one, if you had any questions about one, or if there's a relationship or something in your life that you want some support on, you know, that would be the tool. That would be the one to pull out anytime we're looking for clarity and direction. So as it relates to surrender, I was thinking about this, you know, given our talk yesterday in the Trust Project, and we talked about defenselessness, and we talked about how that's actually being strong when you're defenseless, because you are connected to your own truth, and you believe your own truth with every fiber of your being. And the part of you that doesn't believe that truth is your ego. And so it's like you're stepping away from your ego as you practice the strength of defenselessness. And it's a detachment process. So it's like right now I'm writing an article called Detachment and Defenselessness, because I feel like they go together. And then detachment, defenselessness, and surrender is a really beautiful addition to this process, because I think that part of this has to do with us wanting to control narratives, us wanting to control what people think about us wanting to control what our children do, what they don't do, what our husbands say or don't say. It's like when we feel that we're losing a sense of control, that often ignites a need or to defend. It's like, wait a second, this isn't going the way that I want it to go. And so I want to get in there and start to manipulate it so that it looks like what I want it to look like. And so for me, I've really been practicing surrender in these last 2 weeks, because I think that when I'm in defense mode, like when I feel that like I want to do that, I'm teaching myself to surrender. And that's like a sister to strength. Like, just surrender this for a moment. Like, surrender it to the bigger plan that I don't necessarily know. You know, my lesson for today was I will follow in the way appointed to me. It's like, I don't necessarily know where this is going. You know, like, I don't know the form. You know, I might say something to someone and it might ignite them to go in a different direction or whatever it is. Like, I can't necessarily know the whole plan, but if I surrender and trust that the plan itself is intelligence, like is divine intelligence, like that's what the plan is for your enlightenment, for my enlightenment, for the enlightenment of our families and our communities. Like, if I trust that that is divine intelligence, then I will learn how to surrender my will for God's will. My will meaning my thought. And we do this in the yoga practice as well, right? In the yoga practice, it's a lot about like thoughts are make-believe, or let go of the thinking mind. You know, and off the mat, it's very similar. It's I'm going to surrender my thoughts about this, my thoughts that want to defend, my thoughts that want to control, my thoughts that say this is wrong or that this is bad even. Because remember, all events are neutral. So it's not even like this is bad. I might perceive it as bad. I might be really upset about it. It might have like, there might be a lot of emotions for me and discomfort around whatever it is that's happening or transpiring in my reality. But in and of itself, the divine plan is for your happiness. And so if we can trust that on that journey, there's going to be some discomfort as we detach from our egoic selves, as we detach from the part of us that wants to control, as we surrender, as we practice detachment, we know then that we're in alignment. That's how we know we're in alignment, because we realize that we're not in control of this thing, and that we might, it's so grand, you know? I mean, there's so many modalities out there like numerology and symbology that just will blow your mind. There are modalities out there that speak to, you know, hieroglyphics of language. Think about mathematics, think about quantum physics. Like, there are so many modalities out there that are literally speaking to universal consciousness. And we think, you know, you over there and me over here, that we know what it's about. And that's what gets us into trouble. And that's what's been real for me, is like, you know, you feel a guidance maybe to say something or to do something. You might have an awareness that it's unpopular or that someone might be offended. You know, I've done this so many times in my life, like with my marriage to Larry or my cancer journey. Like, you feel a guidance to do something or to say something. It's your inner intelligence that kind of woke you up, and you trust it and you do it. And you surrender the outcome. That's the work. I find that to be the hard part, is that we might think we're going to receive something really good, or that the journey's going to be easy. But I find that as we continue to detach from our egos, we're literally detaching energetic frequencies and geometries. And yes, it can happen in a split second. Absolutely, I believe in miracles. Boom, it's done. But more often, because it's a process, it might take a little bit more time. And as that's happening, if we can continue to surrender and we can continue to just allow it to unfold, even the really heavy stuff, even the really difficult stuff, then we'll be able to transcend it in a way that really empowers us and really demonstrates for us how this plan is working with us. And that we're actually quite worthy to have a place in this divine plan for the enlightenment of all of humanity. And it might seem really big and like, how does that have to do with you over there and me over here? But really, it's not that big. It's the journey of life. Like, that's what life is about, at least in my understanding of reality. Like, that's what this is about. Life is about learning. Life is about allowing it to unfold. It's about being playful and open and being like, well, I don't know what this is about. You know, if you upset somebody and they come at you with a lot of, anger or whatever it is, like, you don't have to defend it. You're like, look, man, I'm just going with the flow on this. This is how my guidance is directing me. And I find that the more that the guidance can trust you, because you keep doing, the things in, this reality that it tells you to do, it gives you bigger projects. At least that's how it's been for me. It's like I get bigger assignments. And then it's like, okay, now the assignment is to do a forgiveness process with all these people. Or now the assignment is to go do a webinar with a bunch of strangers and talk to them about how only love is real. And it's to sit in that while everybody says to me, well, it's not real. What about the virus? What about this? What about that? What about this? What about that? And my assignment gets bigger. And I realize that the bigger it gets, like, the more inspiring it is for me, actually, too. It's tenderizing in a way that's very, transformational. like it tenderizes, like the humility, like the gratitude to be able to have the strength to not be defensive, the strength to be detached from the outcome, the strength to surrender in any given moment. Like that process deserves nothing but gratitude. Like, wow, thank you. I had no idea it was going to be this grand, or I had no idea how, my breathing and bending and putting my head below my heart and trying to do a handstand and learning about the 8 keys, I didn't know how that was going to play out for my children, for my relationship, for my career. I didn't know. And it was okay that I didn't know. That's what we're practicing, that we can know that we just don't know, but there is a part of us that does. And that's the part that we trust. And that's the part that we learn in this life how to embody her more and more. The part of us that does trust that, if this relationship ends or a new relationship is right there, that wherever there's a problem, immediately there's a solution. In the same moment that a problem, arises for us as an assignment, the solution is present. That's how, present time works. That's how miracles work. The moment the issue is there, the miracle is present. And our job is to simply ask for the miracle by surrendering the grievance, the resentment, the fear, the judgment, the wanting to know. It's just asking, like, I can feel what my body does, what my psyche does when I go into needing to know. I get contraction, my body hurts, my heart hurts, I get a stomach ache, my throat, whatever physical ailment shows up, I can know that if I surrender that, like if I give it up, there is a part of me in the quantum field that is not suffering. And so it's just the journey back to her or him or whoever you are. Like, it's just getting back to that possibility, that narrative. Like that's the amazing part about living your life in this miraculous way. It's really quite beautiful. And I'm tenderized and I'm honored, and I feel very just like warm knowing that I don't have to do everything and that I don't have to know everything. Like, what a relief. Seriously, thank you, sweet Jesus, whoever you are, God, source, supreme being, whatever, like, thank you. Because what a foolish way of living. And what a difficult way, and ensured to having incredible amounts of suffering, is to think that I know. And to feel like I'm out here on my own and I need to do this and do that. And like, wow, how much gratitude to know that it need not be that way. And that the quantum field, like the sky, is literally here on my face. It looks like it's over there, but between me and the sky is the ether, is the air. And that's the intelligence of nature. It's all around me and in me. And if I can tune into that more and more, then I will have the answers I need in any given moment. Anytime a problem shows up, I will tune into the answer sooner than later. That brings me so much just gratitude. So much gratitude to know that I can learn to trust my intuition and that I'm literally following a path. And it's been appointed and it's intelligent. And I agreed to it. I have contracts with my soul. Like, I agreed to certain life lessons this time around. And if you're listening to this or you're in these circles that we do for the Mighty Companions, then you know already that your part in this plan is essential. and that your awakening and your healing contributes in ways that we can't know about. We can just continue to be open and continue to be prayerful, to continue to meditate, to continue to practice yoga, to continue to practice whatever quantum techniques and tools that you have to support you in remembering that surrender is essential. Detachment is essential, and defenselessness is where your strength is. Because as you practice that, you know, even when you don't know, you know that you know on the inside. And that's the learning, I think, that's happening right now on our planet for most humans that are involved in these types of practices, where we're like, wow, I'm learning how to return to myself. So I don't need to trust what's outside me. I need to really tune back in to my inner guidance, to my inner knowing. And that practice is a practice because we're not there yet. But as we practice, just like anything, we get better at it. And so we can travel through those discomforts. We can travel through, you know, the difficult times and the parts that don't make any sense. And we can refrain from judging it. We can just observe it, witness it, trust it's a part of our ultimate learning and our mastery and our divine assignments. And then from that place, you know, life becomes a much slower uncovering, a much slower journey. We're just going from one thing to the next. And at the end of the day, we know that it's all good because only love is real. And that's the story. So that's what I wanted to share with you, really short and sweet, coming in here to just offer a little lesson on surrender and being tender. Just being tender around things. We don't have to know. It's all good. Let things unfold. Ask for guidance. Anytime you have a problem, ask for guidance as soon as you can without trying to go into your mind to strategize it. Because the minute you go into your mind to strategize it, you've given it to the egoic thought systems. The answers are in your heart. So that's where we need to learn how to go first, to our heart. That's why I say it's tenderizing, because, you know, the heart frequencies, the more we tune into heart frequencies, the more we're tenderized. We become more open and transparent, and we have less shields, less defenses, less in the way from feeling other people's pain. It really comes down to learning how to protect our energy more, and, you know, all of those things. We have tons of tools for that. But just acknowledging that it is going to be tenderizing. You will soften. You know, you will become more in touch with your feminine, which is soft, which is open, which is receiving. And that's a beautiful thing. I'm so grateful for that, because I just in my own life have seen the benefits of coming out of this adapted masculine energy, which is so aggressive and possessive and controlling and wanting to prove itself. You know, how that affects my overall health is very enlightening. Just the awareness of that, like how I feel. And so when I ask to shift back into balance, I often find that it requires some kind of laying down, some kind of meditation, some kind of nurturing activity, listening to music, having a tea, drinking some orange juice, whatever it is, to support me in remembering that I don't have to control this. It's part of the plan. Right? That was a pretty solid download. Just, I trust that it flowed for you. And if you have any comments or questions, let me know. Yeah.
Mary, I have one question. Today,
I
my
can't hear
prayer, my mantra was...
Do you want to turn on your audio?
Do you hear me?
I don't hear you.
Do you hear me? Do you hear me?
Nope.
No?
Oh, hold on a second. Hold on. There we go. Go ahead. I hear you now.
Do you hear me?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Today, my mantra, well, yes, since yesterday I tried to practice. Let me see differently. This was I had a meeting and then it was quite tough one. Question was very tough to reply, and its projection always what as a team we want to achieve kind of thing. And then I was let's say aggressive, defending certain moment, but I tried to say let me see differently, and then I tried not to defend. Yeah. Then with this practice, this morning I had a chat with a colleague. Defenselessness, but is it, if I am, is it kind of dropping or giving up? It's not giving up, right?
It's giving up the need to be right.
Okay.
If you know you are right, if you know you trusted yourself, if you know that even if you made a mistake, it wasn't your intention and you were willing to be loving, your intention was pure. If you know that, then there's no need to be right by the world's standards or the people in the world. That's the work. That's difficult because our egos want to be liked, want to be approved of, but our spirit is detached from that because it already knows itself as love. So it doesn't need to prove itself. That's why we can see all manner of crazy things happening on this planet, because love will not intervene unless we've asked it to. And then it shows up with full force. And so it's not that you might say something, I don't know, like if it is about, teaching, or if it is a teaching moment for you and you do need to say something, then that might be what you do. It's not about defending it, but the way in which you say it might be different. You'll know it based on how you feel. If you're defending yourself, you won't feel great about it. If you're simply being clear and open and transparent, then you will have a better sense of feeling around it. Like you won't feel as upset about it. So it's like if someone were to attack you or disagree with you, it's asking, like, how do I respond? Does this need a response? Do you want to give me more of the example? Like when you practiced willing to see it differently, did you see it differently?
Yeah, I try to put myself his place, the other person's place. Why he asked the question, or why. I think I was entering the negative interpretation of the question. This is why I get the feeling and then aggressivity. And then when I ask question, I try to bring back myself in the middle to see neutral way. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's not negative. It's really mind. My ego said he's attacking me, but indeed not. That's this let me see differently brought me that way. Yes, took me away from negativity. Yes.
Great. I mean, because what happens is like it might not be personal either. I mean, that's what I'm saying in terms of the plan. Like him saying it in that way was designed for you to learn a lesson on defenselessness. And that's why I say often in these communities, like in our circles, that like, we don't know how the universe it's intentional and it self-organizes. It's it's mathematical. It's exceptionally pristine and divine. I mean, the level of intelligence is, I mean, how do hearts beat? How do the waves move? How are the stars in place? Like, it's that level of intelligence playing out in our little realities through our relationships with each other. And so every relationship is an assignment, because our enlightening is God's goal, is unity. God wants unity between all of his creations. And so that is what the universe is doing. Often it feels like a real contrast, or it feels difficult, but it's just showing us the barriers to love's presence within us, so that everything in our life becomes an opportunity to move from fear to love. And that's like, wow, man, like, really, this is what's happening? Like, holy crap, that's beautiful. Like, sweet Jesus, like, oh my God, is that really what's happening? And I'm here to say to you and anyone else who wants to listen, like, yes, 100%. You don't have to think that, and you can go on your days eating junk and watching TV and going to shitty jobs and you know, getting caught up in the material world of illusions. You can do that. Absolutely. God bless you. Have a great time. But you can't do that and be happy and free. Because we need to understand and understand happiness and freedom comes from God, comes from spirit. It doesn't come from, you know, the next best dress, or, you know, the perfect family picture, or the best job, or more money. It comes from our alignment to our Creator, and letting that creative energy exist within us as the children of the Creator, of Father Sky and Mother Earth. And we talk about this a lot in our podcasts and everything, around lifting our energy out of survival, which is the material world, which is fear-based. We're always, someone said in the teacher training yesterday, you know, when I'm back in, she's from Canada, when I'm in Canada, I always feel like I have to watch my back. You know, driving my car, and I drive by a police officer and I'm already afraid, but I'm driving the speed limit, I have my seatbelt. But so it's like that state of fear, that energy that we're living in a perpetual state of fear. And the only thing, we talked about this yesterday, it's more powerful than fear, is love. But how do we trust love is learning about our nature and coming back to spirit. And practicing something like yoga or A Course in Miracles and meditation, and cleaning up your diet, and letting go of toxic relationships, and all of that is how we get happy and free. People think happiness is in a cocktail. It certainly was for me for a long time. I was like, well, I'll just have a drink at 6. It'll all be over then. But it never was lasting. And you always feel shitty about it the next day, don't you? You have a few drinks, or you eat a big meal, you think it's going to be really good, and eat a bunch of pizza or whatever it is. And then the next morning you wake up and you just feel bad. So we're looking for a sustainable level of happiness and freedom for the human being, because that is how we've been designed. That's why we get sick, because it's so outside our nature to be in that frequency of fear and judgment and grievance and resentment and just, you know, survival. That's not our nature. So our body, our physical body, doesn't know what to do with it. It's like, what the fuck is this? You know, And so it gets sick. It materializes the distortion. It materializes in our field, in our body, on our skin, in our stomachs. And so the healing process is literally just getting rid of what's not yours. It's not yours. You don't need to be afraid. Take no thought to yourself. This isn't about you figuring everything out. It's about you surrendering every single iota of everything in your life to the divine hand. Everything, as much as you possibly can. And start with baby steps, you know? Play with the universe. It wants to play with you. Its nature is playful and creative and collaborative. So it doesn't want us to be more afraid of, oh no, I have to give up pizza. You're gonna be happily give up pizza because you're looking for sustainable happiness rather than, you know, a spike of happiness and a low of despair. You want health. You want vibrancy. You want to live a long life. You want to see your kids grow up and get married and have babies. You want to create a beautiful community around you. And that's what turns you on. And in order to do that, with the magic and the majesty of the divine, to magnetize that level of reality in your life, you need to let go of the material world. Little by little. But that's this process. That is the ascension of humanity. That is enlightenment. That's the Buddha. You know, no attachment to this reality. That's what all of the ascended masters have taught us. Fast, they say. Fast in your mind. Let go. Surrender this thing. Be open. And what happens is something really quite beautiful. It's like time itself changes. Space, time changes. You have space now for things that you didn't have space in the material world because you were too busy, you know, driving and going here and going there and making everybody happy and pleasing everybody and trying to pay your bills and paying your taxes and you just all the things. But the more that you surrender, the more that you trust, time itself opens for you. This is where clarity comes from. You sit down for an hour to write out, you know, your 8 keys process, which is one of the tools, obviously, that we use in Off the Mat. You know that, but our new audience is going to be new to that. But this is what we do. We realize, oh, wow, I have some space right now for process, for integration, for embodiment. So time is on your side, actually. That's what time is for. It's here for you to expand and to grow into your divine potential. So for anyone who wants happiness and freedom, that's how. At least that's how it's been for me. I've tried getting happiness in approval, happiness in acceptance from others. But if I don't accept myself as I am, if I don't accept that my plan, you know, might hurt others and my choices might hurt others as a part of their plan too. Following our hearts isn't about making everybody around us happy. Following our hearts is following our hearts no matter what. It says, and you trust it more and more. And that's what I see in my own life. Like I see that the more I trust it, the more it gives me bigger and bigger assignments. And so my joy expands, and just where I'm at personally, I'm so excited about all the things that are happening in my life based on this miraculous thinking. Like miracles are occurring. And even when they're not occurring, it's like I shared with you the other day, they're held in a trust for you. So even if I am spending a couple hours in fear and frustration, I can trust that those miracles are still there for me. They're mine. I'm loved. I'm treasured by the divine. I am a spark of the divine, and because the divine is unity consciousness, is that pristine hologram of love, that I am a part of that. That's healing our separation. Our separation is believing that we're not a part of that. And that is just simply untrue. It's impossible because you were created by it. It's like saying your mother is not your mother. You can't change that. That's a fact. Your mother is your mother. So your creator, the one who created you, your essence, you cannot change that. And that is love. That is light. That is purity. That is supremeness, beingness, magnetic, just bliss. That's what's so exciting about correcting your mind, is that you realize that the correction is really only in who am I and who is God, and are we connected? So it is spiritual alignment. This yoga off the mat practice is very much about centering yourself in the reality of love and letting go of the distractions as much as you can, one by one. Just let them go and notice how your life starts to change. The pace of it will start to change. People will come, people will go, projects will come, projects will go, but you're detached, you're open. You're willing to see things differently. You're not going to control your reality because you don't necessarily know if your form of reality is the best one for you. You know, we think we know. I'm supposed to live here. I'm supposed to do this. This is my job. It's going to be this way for 30 years. I'm going to live in this house. Well, how do you know that that's the best plan for your enlightenment? I mean, it absolutely could be. I don't know. But where's the mystery? I think that that's what I really want to invite our communities to embrace more. Where's the curiosity? You know, I would have never, like, I thought I was going to go, I was trying to like get money to like buy this beautiful house. Go ahead. I love you. We'll see you next time. I'm going to finish the wrap because I'm going to put it on YouTube. I love you. Let me know if you have any questions, okay? You're doing so great. Namaste. Ciao, Bella. But that's what we think. We think that, you know, I thought buying this like big fat house, like in the best neighborhood here was the plan. And so I was meditating on that. I was open to it. I was visiting the house in my dreams. I was doing all this stuff. And now what I'm seeing as I opened, like that was a stepping point, like to dream that big opened up my heart center and opened up a part of me that was like kind of dormant. Like, oh, I couldn't live it. I mean, how could I afford that? Like that level of thinking was preventing me from even going to look at it. But when I stayed curious and open and playful and was just like, well, what is this about? Let's go look at it. Let's just be fun. Let's just take an afternoon and go see it. It opened up portals of possibility. And when you open portals of possibility, you literally allow the flow of the quantum into your reality. Wow. Who doesn't want magnificent, pristine intelligence and information to come into their reality? That's the quantum. It's mathematic. It's an equation. It's all leading you towards the perfect numbers. Like, it's beautiful. And the only thing in the way of that is our own thinking, that it can't be so. And so that's why I love A Course in Miracles, because the Course is basically saying, hey, are you willing to change your mind? Because if you are, you can expect miracles, which are changes in perceptions, to happen in your life. And when miracles happen in your life, that's the opening of the portals of possibilities and narratives and realities. And wow, like that's amazing. Thank goodness for that, right? Because if a life without possibility of just being limited in the third dimensional thinking, which is so polluted by our programs, like to think that your life has to be that way, that's depressing. Of course we have a depression issue on this planet. That's a bummer. It feels terrible to think that, oh, this is what life is. Oh, there's just war. There's always going to be hungry kids, Marie, someone said to me. I went, what? Why? Why are there always going to be hungry children? Why are we okay with that? Especially us heart-centered folks and us yogis and spiritualists and meditators and so forth. Like, that's what we're surrendering to. That's just the way it is. That's the best we can do. That's the best our intellect can do, for sure. But the intellect of the universe is just so dynamic and so expansive that that's the work. We just need to align to that, because those possibilities in that field, absolutely there's a possibility for planet Earth to have not one hungry soul on it. That's a possibility. It's just not enough of us are believing that right now. Why? Well, because we're not doing our own work. We're not alchemizing, we're not growing. We think we've grown enough. But what I'm seeing happening in our communities, and what I'm really feeling happening in the collective, is a real press. Like, it feels like the universe is literally pressing on our woundedness so that we can heal it. It's shining the light in all of our shadows, personally and collectively, so that we can see what needs to heal. And if we can see it, we can heal it. Again, it's a possibility. If we won't even look at it, how could we even know that we need to heal it? That's what this is about. That's all that's happening on the planet right now. That's all that's ever been happening. It's when are we going to choose to wake up to our divine potential, and to that being the potential that we're focused on, that level of surrender, that level of detachment from the material world, that level of being defenseless, of having to be right, allowing yourself to literally lay down your life for your friends, to be a crazy person, to be woo-woo, to be insane, or whatever the material world wants to call you. You know better. Even when you don't, you do. Because that is your commitment to reality, which is love. That's your devotion. That's your intention. That's what your breath is about. You wake up and you breathe that into you, literally into you. When you look at nature, when you look at the trees, when you look at the hummingbirds, I see hummingbirds every day. I mean, hummingbirds, the biggest heart per body ratio of any creature on planet Earth. How about that? That's why the hummingbird is our logo at Yoga Off the Mat. It's the mystery. It's the wow. That's the happiness, friends. That's the freedom that we're all seeking. The yoga prayer is, may all beings everywhere be happy and free. Including me. Including me. So often we think the path to happiness and freedom is suffering. And certainly there's suffering in this reality. Pain is inevitable, absolutely. But suffering, we start to see, becomes a choice. Do I really want to lay here and be sad for 3 hours? Is that how I want to spend 3 hours of my time? Okay, I'll spend 30 minutes of my time in this energy, because I can see the value of alchemizing the shadow and allowing the tenderness to transpire. I can do 30 minutes, but I'm gonna pick myself back up, and I'm gonna realign to spiritual intelligence, to divine wisdom, and I'm gonna ask that divine wisdom to guide me and to teach me and to allow me to step more and more into its version of reality, which is ultimate love and freedom and heaven on earth. I mean, it's gorgeous. The divine plan is gorgeous. It's, wow, magnificent. Just so sparkly, so gorgeous, so next level, interdimensional, colorful, The shapes are just wow. Let us be in that place of mystery, of surrender. Let us truly allow ourselves to change our minds, to allow others to be where they are while holding the vision of the enlightenment of the planet and leading the way in your own life by surrendering, by detaching, by trusting the strength that comes from defenselessness, knowing that this divine energy loves you, trusts you, knows you, and is there for you in any given moment, given you are willing to trust it. And be like a sunflower. Turn your face to the light. Keep doing it. Keep turning your face to the light. Keep turning your face to the light. And then the light becomes more and more of your reality. And your life changes, and your communities change, and miracles occur, and it's all beautiful. It really is. And we start to support and hold ourselves, anchor in this reality as others come to it and realize, yeah, you know what? We can feed the babies. We don't need these systems. We don't need to be operating this way. We want freedom for all. Everybody needs to have a house. Duh. Everybody needs to have clean, fresh fruits and vegetables. Not only the rich people that can buy organic, which is not even organic half the time. I mean, it's you realize it's for all. Where we go one, we go all. When I'm healed, I am not healed alone. So keep healing, my friends. Keep making yourself more and more whole, and allow yourself the gift of happiness and freedom that comes from surrendering. Just let it go. It's all good. I love you so much. I can't wait to hear from you and what came up for you in this video and on this call today. And just know that we're here for you with It's Yoga International and Yoga Off the Mat. Our intention, our next 10 years is very different than the last 10 years. The last 10 years was a lot more about credentials and certifications and, making sure that people got it. But this is about you making sure you get it. Using our information and the way that we have, put together these programs with the intention for happiness and freedom for all, for you to tap that for yourself. All of our programs are about you turning into your own inner teacher. And that's what I love about all of this work, is that it is so much about you and your personal growth and exploration. And that's a beautiful journey. That's why it's a lonely journey, but it's the most expansive journey, because even though it seems like you're doing it alone, you realize you're surrounded by mighty companions. And that's an amazing thing to wake up to. And they're in this community and they're all around the world. And that's what's been inspiring me so much these last months, is to realize there's all sorts of people talking about these types of things that are in yoga, that don't even care about yoga, that are a part of this great awakening that humanity is going through, in terms of us shifting more and more out of our egoic patterning and behaviors and stepping more and more into the truth of who we are. Happy are those that seek for the truth. And we just keep digging and we just keep going, and we keep on that straight and narrow path, because we know the more that we do it, the happier and the more free we are. And that becomes more valuable and more peaceful than anything that the material world can offer us. And we bless everybody. We trust everybody's own journey is happening in their own divine alignment and timing. And at the same time, it certainly does feel like there is an acceleration. And right now, it does feel like, we're moving at a much quicker pace. And that's something that I like to really highlight and celebrate, that we're here, and it's beautiful. Thank goodness. Namaste. Lots of love. Bye for now.